GSTL. It is Friday, 6:10 p.m. Korean Standard Time. I am Wolf. With me is Calder. We've got an exciting match as usual coming up today.
Yeah, really interesting game today with FXOpen up against Team StarTale.
A lot of people saying StarTale was going to win this league, get first place in the pennant race. They have not, really failed in that just yet, but they haven't had a perfect run yet. FXOpen is the same way this season.
Yeah, FXO had a really bad start into the season, but lately they've been able to just pick it up a bit, and now they are currently on the 4th rank, where StarTale is ranked 5th in the league. Should be a very close one. They're really close, and whoever wins today will pull ahead a little bit.
Exactly, that's very true. And the starting players we have today, we normally wait a little bit longer to talk about this, but I'm like, I can't wait anymore. We've got Bomber up against Hurricane. Going to be a Terran versus Protoss. Bomber just having to play different matchups in his Code S. Now going to have to shift gears a little bit and practice against a Protoss. I'm curious to see what kind of builds we could see here.
So far, Bomber actually didn't have a lot of success in the GSTL. He came out twice for his team, twice against Zerg, and every single time he lost once to Naxo, and he also lost to Symbol. So now he's currently up against a Protoss player, and Hurricane, he had an all-kill this season already, so that was really impressive. Not the easiest feat for Bomber, but he's a player that will always bounce back, that is really strong just overall, so he has to find a way to defeat the all-killing.
Yeah, Bomber has a history of all-killing in the GSTL. Long time ago, but still, he has that ability in him. Bomber's one of those players I feel in the GSTL, if he gets a snowball effect going, if he wins one or two games, he just gets stronger every time. He just looks more and more confident. If his confidence level is high, then he just snowballs. It looks like he's unbeatable, and I think he scares his opponents a little bit with his mule dropping, his aggressive strategies.
I agree. Even though his results in the individual league were not as great just as of late, he was really struggling a bit against Zerg, as you could have seen, not only in Code S, but also, as mentioned before, in the GSTL in general. He's up against a player that he definitely can beat. Hurricane is a little bit on a roll, and he's on a high, but on the other hand, Bomber now playing a different matchup. Question, of course, is did he really have enough time to practice for this enough?
Yeah,
he was focusing so much against Zerg.
Exactly. I'm not sure how much of a strategy he had time to plan, if he's just going to try to play a straight-up game, or if he's going to even do an all-in to try to throw Hurricane off. Hurricane, of course, also known as Tier in the past, for those who don't know who we're talking about.
And we will have a really interesting match today in general, I feel. I think this is one of the closer games that we will have this season, and we also have, of course, players like Live on the bench. That's always curious. Another Zerg player for StarTale. Then you have Lenok exactly for FXOpen. And Live so far has always been seen as the final boss. He didn't have the best results in GSTL just yet, but still, he is one of the best players that StarTale has on the roster, so this is one of the main things that FXOpen has to deal with.
Yeah, FXOpen definitely have to deal with that. Don't forget about SC, for example. He is somebody that we could see come out. Let's take a look at last week's match results for those of you who missed it.
Here with last week's game was Team Zubo versus Axiom Ace, a very close series. Scarlet with 2 wins early on against Boombo and Ganji. Against Supernova, she made a few mistakes that cost her the game. And the Terran player then tied up the score, but in the end, Alicia and Crank, the Protoss players for Team Axiom, were able to grab the victory. And once again, the pole position in the rankings.
That was a really cool match. It came down all the way to the wire there on Akalon, which was a very cool match to watch.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, that was such a close series, and we had really interesting games there.
I'm loving this season, how it's starting to develop. Certain teams were looking shaky, and then they're starting to come into their own. Other teams that people thought were going to dominate, having some trouble. It's a really cool story that we have going forward here.
Prime team is basically already out of the league. They don't have a chance to advance to the playoffs anymore. And Asos, on the other hand, they still have, in theory, a chance to advance, but they really have to get a few victories before that's possible. And so far, they didn't look strong this season.
Yeah, they will play tomorrow, so that's a really important play day for them.
And they play against Team MVP, who is currently 2nd in the ranking. They really want to get that pole position, but Axiom Ace so far has been dominating things. MVP has the better indicator, though, so if they win tomorrow, they should be able to advance.
Yeah, absolutely they will. With +6 versus +2, even if they only win by +1 tomorrow, they'll take that first place spot.
Exactly.
They're just one game behind everybody. Here's the breakdown of race and code, so you can see that on StarTale, there's a lot more players currently involved in the WCS and the GSL tournament, whereas on FXOpen, you've only got 3.
Yeah, but FXOpen, a team that of course shines in the team league. Last year they had 2 titles. Choya is still very, very proud of that and never fails to remind us whenever we have a bit of vendor going on in the backstage area.
He's always got those pins on, you know.
Yeah, he definitely does. And he wants, of course, to win this season as well, the first season in Heart of the Swarm and also in 2013. Against StarTale, it's going to be one of the tougher matches that they have, but both teams have been showing in the past good results just in the recent matches, and they also said that they want to win this season, that they want to do the best that they can.
Here's the highlight match, of course, that we're going to look at, FXOpen versus NSO. So this is that all-kill we were talking about with Hurricane. He was able to take out all 4 opponents. Even Tassar not able to get a win in PvP.
Yeah, Hurricane looking so strong. It was really incredible. Against Jakji, then on map number 3, he did such a great job there.
Yeah, he hit a base. Jakji did not scout it, and he was able to hold Jakji's really strong push regardless. It was such a great game to watch.
And it, of course, was also very devastating for NSOSA. They are now 1 win and 3 losses in the league. Hurricane didn't have any mercy with them. And the last game that we saw, Western Eye completely fell apart. One of the worst plays that I have seen from him, to be quite frank here.
That was a bit weird.
Yeah, that was a very weird... It actually wasn't a strategy that he was showing us. It was a weird composition of units that didn't make any sense. I feel that he was just a little bit overwhelmed and maybe too nervous. I don't know what the reason was, but for some reason he completely fell apart in that series.
Yeah, it was a bit of a rough one for him for sure. There's a shot, of course, of Hurricane just having to enjoy watching himself all kill a team that's at the bottom of the league. But we'll see if he can pull off multiple kills today as well. I think that this match today is a lot about momentum for both teams because they're both kind of in the middle of the rankings right now. And if you win against FXOpen as StarTale, you look at this and you say, well, I beat one of the best teams in Team League that they have to offer you. If you look at this as FXOpen, you're like, well, I beat a team that has some of the best players in the entire world.
Here we currently see StarTale versus MVP. It's a series that StarTale was not able to win in the end. MVP took the team match with a 4-3. But still, very strong performance here by StarTale. But this was one of those games where neither Bomber nor Life could deliver. They didn't get any points for the team. Avenge started things off with 2 victories for Team StarTale against DRG and Keen. Played very strong, but the rest of the team just was not able to keep up with that.
Yeah, that was a close match, though. I think these 2 teams definitely the strongest teams we've had this season. And, you know, StarTale with that loss, though, did not keep the top spots. In fact, Axiom Ace are now looking a little bit stronger.
Yeah, Axiom Ace is just able to prevail through from one match to another. They always seem to win, and this season they look a little bit unstoppable, even though people at the beginning of the season were kind of worried that they would make it.
FXOpen did recently acquire Seed. He is not on their roster today, so I know a lot of people were wondering about that. He is not here. He will not be playing today.
That's something that happened just a few days ago, so in case you haven't heard about it yet, Seed is not longer with LGIM. FXO got him out of the contract, and now he is part of the FXOpen team.
Yeah, I've been practicing with them for a while, and you know, I'm curious to see how that may change, you know, his play in the individual leagues or how often he's going to come out in the team league going forward. It's just, you know, one of those interesting news stories that many people might not have heard about, but now you know.
And it also just adds another Protoss to the lineup. Hurricane so far was kind of the only one that they really sent out that really delivered. And now they have a little bit more depth to the Protoss lineup, and that helps them, of course, especially in the team league. It's a really good pickup for them.
Yep. There's Lucky. Could see him come out today, would not be surprised. Especially if FXOpen gets an early lead. I feel like that would be a good opportunity to use Lucky.
Here we have the StarTale team, of course, with amazing players. As you can see, we have Life on the roster and Curious, as well as Golden, Zero, the 4 Zerg players that they have. And of course the Terrans, bit of a backbone in the team here. Players like Bomber, our starting player today, Sparta, Hack, and of course Sound of all people.
Yeah. You know, a few faces in there we don't see come out too often, like Panic, for example, and Zero. But you never know. StarTale has such a huge depth of players that they may have a sniper plan.
There we could just see a Golden Live so far. Not the most successful player in this season so far. The best player for the StarTale team in the first season 2013 in the GSTL is actually Sound, with this all-kill that he delivered.
The Sound really impressed a lot of people that day. Did not actually advance in Code A, which surprised a lot of people. He fell in the first round.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird. I didn't really expect that. That just was kind of incredible. That was one of those things where we saw Ragnarok just doing really, really well throughout the entire Code A season, where he just defeated Terran after Terran. Gumiho then, of course, in the 3rd round. That was really incredible. I mean, his play, pretty awesome against Zerg these days.
He's going places.
Terran, of course.
Here are the coaches standing at the front. Gumio sticks his head out, so does SC. I don't know what they're looking for, but
they are certainly ready. Both of them. And we have also the starting player for StarTale, Bomber today, and Choya. They are looking strong. FXO is looking really strong once again after a bit of a shaky start into the season. This is a really important match for all of them.
It really is. I feel like this is the one match that puts momentum in one of these two teams' favors going forward into the rest of the season, because we're not at the beginning of the season anymore. Things are starting to get a little bit more closed.
Exactly, there are not this many matches left per team, and they really have to try to edge out these wins. Aphrodite in the studio today as well.
Yep. FXO fighting. They challenge. StarTale, one of their players having a white backpack. I don't know what he's keeping in there. Probably his keyboard. Yeah, I think it is gold. I think you're right.
I've seen that before, and I'm pretty sure it's gold. Yeah, it's him.
Yep.
Well, StarTale, can they deliver today? A lot of people have been saying at the beginning of the season that they will win it. But there's so many strong teams, especially in the Team League. FXO, MVP, StarTale, LGIM, all of them doing a great job this season so far. And of course, never forget Axiom Mesa and Team Azubu. Like, it's so many of them. We have two teams that really fell off with Prime and NSHosa, but the rest of the teams, they are so close this season.
They really are, and none of the matches that we've seen from these teams that are still close to each other have been extremely one-sided either. They've all been really close, 4-3s, oftentimes 4-2s. There's Sound there on the edge. There's Choya, and you can see the best sitting up there on the bench. He might come out for a snipe if he needs to play a TVT against Bomber, for example. Maybe see like a Hellbat drop from him.
I'm actually quite happy that we have a Terran versus Proto starting things off. I feel like in the past few team matches, most of the games that we've been casting were ZVPs. That matchup kind of dominated it.
Yeah. LGIM versus, who is it they played against? Azubu that one time.
Yeah.
We had only Process for LGIM and only Zergs for Azubu.
Exactly, except for the starting match, we only had Protoss players coming out for Team LGIM, and Azubu just decided to go full Zerg. And that was a pretty funny series. It was like the coaches had a bet going on, like, okay, I'm only going to use Zerg players today, and the LGIM coach was like, well, if you only use Zergs, I will show you that our Protoss lineup is good enough to beat you.
Yeah. LGIM's Protoss lineup is sick, by the way.
Yeah,
they did lose seed, but...
Yeah. Well, we're starting with our first game here. Hurricane, of course, he has his all-kill in the GSTL already. Strong player for his team, performed really well. He's actually 5-2 so far in this season. He came out 7 times. Well, he played 7 games.
He's what I dubbed the wildcard prospect, but he's kind of switched roles. He comes out first, oftentimes, as you can see, it's his best position at 4-1, but he's one of those players who used to come out as a sniper, but in this case, now he's just become one of their solid players.
Exactly. And him and SC, they have been doing a great job this season, both of them getting all kills, and they are the most successful players for Team FXO.
Yeah. Here is another shot of Hurricane, of course, in the team. I would love to see Lucky come out today. He is somebody we have not seen all too often this season.
Yeah, he played 3 games in this season. He won only 1 of them, lost the other 2. But on the other hand, we have, of course, the StarTale starting play here. It's Bomber, and he didn't get a single win so far this season. He's 0-2.
Bomber is just one of those players who can sometimes have a stern look, but sometimes have a funny face.
I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
They asked him to do that in the chat.
And he's a little bit embarrassed.
He delivered, though.
Yeah, he definitely did.
He's in a good mood, as you can see, high spirits. Bomber is probably one of the most high-profile players on their team. The most famous, I think. And, you know, Life is more accomplished than him these days, but Bomber went on a skydiving trip, for example.
Yeah, he definitely has his name out there, even though Life, of course, is like the star player, the ace player of the team. Red City is going to be our first map today. Bomber already with a victory sign. No, not just yet. Look at him, he's really in a good mood today.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Very relaxed as well.
Yeah, Tyr, I don't think Tyr is stressed, but you can see he's got this awkward smile right now. He doesn't know how to respond to this. He gave us a wink.
Look at Bomber. Did you see that wink?
Yeah, I saw that.
That is so cool. Oh, that's brilliant. I love it. That's a good start into the match. I'm really excited for this series.
Yeah, same here. I'm very excited for it. Red City, a large map, so we could see all sorts of builds here. We could see superior late game play. I'm looking forward to whatever comes out of this.
I'm really looking forward to all the games. I had such a great day already today, and this is just a little bit like the cherry on top of it. So we're jumping into game number 1, guys. In just a few seconds, we have a Terran versus Protoss to start things off here at the GSTL Season 1 2013. StarTale is up against FXOpen, and Red City is our first map today. So let's just jump right into the game. Hit the GSTL Talon Wolf. Starting to the top left, we have the Protoss player of Team FXOpen. It is
FXO Hurricane.
Gets a very energetic intro here by Street Fighter voice.
Yes.
Oh, it wasn't actually Street Fighter voice.
It was Ken.
Yeah, we still have Ken. Mixed it up. Bottom left, we have his opponent. Starting player for Team StarTale today.
StarTale Bomber.
Speaking of Street Fighter voice, I heard his voice the other day in a commercial on the subway. I recognized his voice instantly. So he's doing other work out there in Korea.
You serious?
Yeah, I heard his voice. I don't remember what the ad was for, but he was talking in English as well, just typing something up.
I think you have to listen more closely. Usually I listen to music when I'm in the subway, but yeah, I definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, if I find it again, I'll definitely try to like post on YouTube or something.
Well, currently we have Gas here for Bomber very early in the game, so he wants to be very aggressive.
Yeah, he's going gas first, and this is kind of what we were talking about earlier. With he hasn't been practicing for this matchup very much because he's had to focus so much on Zergs and Codes, so maybe he has just some sort of all-in plan where he doesn't really want to play a straight-up game. And I don't want to say all-in, but a drop where he can get ahead early, for example, and not have to play against that really scared
traditionally he's a player who's really strong in this matchup, so I am excited to see what exactly he's doing here, and already seeing that he wants to go for the aggression, that is pretty awesome. I would like to see an aggressive opening into this team match just in general. Team's just trying to lay down the law a little bit. Hurricane, on the other hand, now with the cybernetic score, he has of course to find out what exactly is going on here. But so far we don't even have a scout of him from the map.
Yeah. Totally blind so far, but his build is safe. He will do a Mothership Core expand, it looks like. And Bomber's going to come in here and see everything. He's going to be very happy that they are close spawns like this instead of cross.
And he's also lucky enough to scout his opponent in the first position possible. So this lines up very well for him. Already going now into the factory, is still mining, of course, gas, and will then add the starport very soon. With the Marine at the front, he doesn't have to worry about his opponent sneaking a probe into his main base. That shouldn't happen. And he's even denying the Nexus a little bit, even though, to be fair, Hurricane doesn't even have the... Now he has the minerals to pull that off.
Yeah, that was a nice drop there on that Nexus. Yeah. I think he considered eBay blocking, but he saw that there was a Zealot in production earlier, so he didn't do it. But then the Zealot was cancelled, so like a little bit of mind games going on there. I like that. So Bomber does delay the Nexus ever so slightly. And he's going for a drop. We have not seen Widowmine production started just yet, or Hellions. He could do either.
Yeah, it's actually true. We could also just see him go, well, Widowmines is apparently the choice that he goes for. We have the first one already on the production tab, so we will see a Widowmine drop. Hurricane should pretty soon start his robotics. That's what you would expect in such a situation, him going for the Nexus, but he also needs, of course, the detection here.
Yeah. Bomber is, he doesn't have his Marines positioned at the bottom of the ramp, so this probe could get an idea that this is one-base play when he arrives here. He's pulling his Marines back into the main base for possible Mothership Core pressure, but this means that his late CC will probably be scouted by the probe. It depends on the path. The Stalker is actually going to get hit by the Widowmine, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like it will take down, as that Stalker is a gone.
Whoa! He unburrowed the Widowmine, just bad luck there.
Okay, that was really a little bit unfortunate. I mean, that Stalker would not have survived.
And now he's going to actually be able to kill this SCV if he micros correctly. Boom, gets away.
Delays the command center, that's all that he wants to achieve here. It's a little bit unlucky for Bomber, could have killed one of those.
Oh, this is so sexy. He puts the Widowmine behind.
Really well done. Cutting off the retreat path. That was really cool.
You know, I mean, he shows the Widowmine by doing this, but he already figured out what's going on with his Stalker. So, I mean, doing that's pretty cool. We see Armory come down, so we're going to see a Hellbat follow-up to this.
This could be really strong by Bomber. I mean, he's not only going for the first wave, but he's already preparing for a second attack of aggression while he's going into his own expansion. But of course, by now Hurricane knows that there are Widow Mines on the map. You can see him going straight into the Observer. But here comes the dropship. Only one Widow Mine, though.
Instant reaction here.
Yeah. That shot didn't do anything.
Nope. And he will clean this up with the Observer about to pop out.
Yeah.
There it is.
Here we go. Bye-bye Widow Mine. But still, we have the Armory now nearly completed, so he can go into the Hellbats, has his own expansion nearly up. But so far, Hurricane gets a really good start into this game.
He has 2 Observers also, don't forget.
Yep. And he has a bit of a supply lead now. He got the early expansion. So far, Bombers Harris didn't do anything, so the gas first did not pay off at this point. He has to do damage with the Hellbats that he's now producing, or he will fall even further behind.
If he gets some good shots with the Hellbats, he can turn this game around right from the start. But everything else, like you said, is definitely in Tyr's favor right now. Bay is coming up. He's got that Forge coming down. He's going to have that upgrade lead. He's even making more Observers. Uses a Hallucination here. And he's going to scout with this Hallucinated Phoenix the Hellbat drop.
Robotics Bay in the main base are going into the Colossi now. The armor upgrade is also being researched. And for now, the dropship is on its way. It hasn't been spotted just yet, so let's see how much damage he can really do with this. He needs to do damage now, or he will even fall farther behind. He cannot afford to just have this advantage of Hurricane without doing any damage to the economy.
Mothership almost with enough energy for overcharge here. He's not on top of paying attention to his probes. Immediately loses a few.
Yeah, but not too many. He can go into the main base right now with another Afterburner. It's not ready just yet, but will be in a few seconds.
But the Stalkers are ready.
He tries to go to the expansion again and is just barely able to retreat.
Yeah, you know, Photon overcharge on the wrong Nexus arguably there. And if he had targeted the one at the natural, he definitely would have gotten it.
Still trying to intercept the Medivac, and he could actually pull that off.
With the Observer there, he spots perfectly done.
Really well done by Hurricane. Not only does he have the Observer in position, but he warps in another Stalker right at the front and is able to just hunt down the Medivac. Things are looking really good for Hurricane this game.
Yeah. Now going into the Twilight Council so he can get +2 armor. We'll start a second Forge soon. And he knows that he has all the advantages in tech even. He knows he has the upgrade advantage because he's constantly checking with those Phoenixes. So he knows, oh, okay, you're a little bit late on your E-base.
Yeah, for Bomber, the whole concept just didn't pay off. He started with the gas first. He wanted to be aggressive. The Widow Mine didn't do any damage at all, didn't even kill a single probe. Hurricane defends very well, and then the second step for Bomber going into the drop with the Hellbats is shut down without doing too much either. So he's really falling behind here. If this continues like this, he will have to pull his SCVs again.
Yeah, I think we're going to see something like that. As you can see, he's adding 2 barracks, hiding them on the right side, so they're likely to be unscouted. They're also going to be able to reinforce a little bit. Well, I don't want to say much quicker, but a little bit quicker.
One of his problems really is that the scouting by Hurricane is exceptionally good. He always has a few observers ready to spot what's going on, and Bombers drop here. The 2 Medivacs, they were already spotted, and the observer is still chasing down this army.
Yeah, and since he knows there's 2 drops, he sees 1 dropship here, and he's like, oh, okay, the other one's got to be somewhere.
Yeah. Should have a few units in the main base, at least the Mothership. No.
Well,
walks in with the Colossus right now, but there's at least a cannon to delay this a little bit.
And Bomber decides not to commit. He's going to need these Hellbats later for his push, too.
It's just like he always tries to... he's running up towards Hurricane and he just meets a wall. There's nothing that he can do. This is just such a safe play by Hurricane. And he gets farther and farther ahead because he has such a good micro and macro right now that he can defend against the attacks without getting any damage done. And the opening that he chose just gives him an edge.
One thing, though, that Bomber does have that's going to start to give him a little bit of an edge is the fact that he has +1 armor on the way. He has a second engineering bay. Something that Hurricane has not added is his second forge. So upgrades are going to start to take a toll on him.
And again, the dropship trying to move in. And the only thing that really works for Worm is that Hurricane doesn't complete, or has not a complete blink upgrade, or there would be a trap, and with the Stalkers blinking forward, he could lose 2 Medivacs. But he's trying to move in right now. He should see those. Yes, he sees the units and immediately turns around.
Yep, he will spot the Nexus here, which is nice for him, but not going to be able to get anything done.
He killed one of the probes earlier and delayed it a little bit. Now he knows that there is a 3rd base by now, but he can't do anything about it, and that's really his biggest problem.
I'm a little bit surprised Bomber takes this 3rd command center. It looks like he's very confident that even though he's had a rough start in this game, he's going to be able to transition out of it into the late game. He does have that upgrade lead.
Yeah, he definitely does. We so far only have 1 forge for Hurricane. He's adding the 2nd one now, and we see him going now into the +2 armor upgrade. But with the 3rd Nexus already coming up, he's still in a pretty good spot here. His tech is decent. He has the Colossi out, can transition then, of course, and go also into the additional Templar Archive to add Storm to his composition.
Yeah, you see that right now Bomber is adding his second starport, putting it right on a reactor so he can make 4 Vikings at a time, but that switch into Templar is going to happen very soon. This Nexus may have to be cancelled, though he does not have a lot of units nearby.
Yeah, this is definitely an oversight. This is a huge problem. The Terran army darts in and does the damage with the stim. Hurricane has those units in the main base position and a few and then at the third, but not close enough to guard it.
Yeah.
And this is getting a big problem for him because now Bomber not only does take a bit of a supply lead, but he will be on 3 bases, whereas Hurricane is still limited to 2.
Very calculated what Bomber did there. He saw that there were a lot of units in the main base. He was like, oh, you probably don't have enough, and you're definitely not close enough. You're not going to get those force hits off. And now Hurricane's moving out. He realizes that after losing that Nexus, he's got a little bit of a window here. He needs to do some damage.
Yeah, because this puts Bomber into a spot. The opening was a little bit better for Hurricane, but this move in that we saw for Bomber, using the stim, going in, dishing out the damage, and then moving back, that put him in a good position. And this Warp Prism will be intercepted immediately. Bomber already saw with the scan that there's a Warp Prism heading his way, and he positions 2 Vikings to the left. The Warp Prism doesn't stand a chance here.
Absolutely not.
But Bomber doesn't really see that it's coming.
Oh, here comes the attack, though. He blinks to the side, trying to catch those Vikings, get some good Colossi shots up, but he does not have enough army supply here.
First Colossus is already gone. The Warp Prism can't do anything to the left side. The idea of Hurricane was really just to put pressure onto the third base and at the same time warp into the main. But with those 2 Vikings to the left, that just didn't happen. There was no chance for the Warp Prism to get past.
Yeah, and right now Bomber nearly doubling the army supply. He's really that Command Center's really paid off for him, and the fact that Tyr lost his third is starting to hurt him quite a bit. And Bomber gonna hit a timing here. He doesn't have to, but it could work really well. He has that upgrade lead for a few more seconds.
There is no storm, you know? He can only rely on those Colossi, and one of them is already gone, and another one will die very soon as those Vikings are taking charge of the situation.
Yep, he's definitely going to be able to get those Colossi. Good force fields here, but now they work against the Zealots.
1 Colossus is left, but the Vikings are still doing damage. The Colossi just barely surviving, but already 150 supply down for Hurricane. He's up against 140, and Bomber is moving in, taking down another Nexus.
Yeah, he targets the Nexus down. It looks like it will barely fall here. Bomber just has too much. He's trading too efficiently.
Oh, well, we have the photon overcharge. He might just barely be able to save the Nexus. It's going to be close. I can't believe that he doesn't send a few units to the left side. There are only a few hit points left on the Nexus.
Oh, he's going to get it.
Here we go. Moves in, takes it down, and once again, Hurricane on 2 bases up against 3. But Bomber lost a lot here.
But these Hellbats coming to the right side could definitely change his luck, but a very fast pull by Tyr here.
That's mining time that he loses that he can't afford to lose. Bomber just has the better economy, even though he lost a fair amount of SCVs with this attack.
Here comes a stim. He blocks. The Colossus is being targeted by so many different units right now.
Yeah, the 2 Vikings, and they will take down the Colossus. That's the last one that he has. Storm is not done just yet, and Bomber is in a dominant position, even though he has less supply than his opponent. Yeah, he was denying mining for such a long time.
He's going to be able to stabilize here.
And the worker supplies you could see for Hurricane is really in his favor. The problem is he couldn't mine from his third base in a long time, and he's basically oversaturating his bases, whereas Bomber can use those mules.
Bomber's just going to continue to rally here, attacking over and over and over again because he has the better production right now. He has the better army, and he has that momentum. Every Zealot Warping that comes in is just barely not enough.
Exactly. He has more army supply than his opponent, and there is so much pressure on Hurricane now. He tries to stabilize and get back on his tracks, but he's losing probes left, right, bottom, and center, and he's losing his army as well. Once again, the Colossi being targeted. The Vikings doing a great job here, and the Archons alone are not enough to deal with the Bioforce.
Yeah, they don't quite have enough DPS there, and this momentum is really starting to end this game, I feel. He's just done too much damage. Zealot's trying desperately again. He's out of medevac energy, but he still has too many Bioforces.
Bomber was able to drive a wedge between those 2 bases of his opponent, and Hurricane just isn't able to get all his units together and deal with this. Maybe now trying to go for a sandwich, but there are just too many units, too much DPS for Bomber. Yeah. And we have so many reinforcements just streaming in.
This is probably going to be game. He doesn't even kite anymore. Last medevac's fall. I mean, this type of army that Bomber has, as a pros player, you need to have a good ratio of Stalkers and Zealots with a few Archons, but he has mostly either one or the other, and that cannot beat this army. You have to have both. You have to have the Zealots to run in, you have to have the Stalkers to chase, otherwise Bomber's just going to kite you forever.
It's great when you have more Harvesters than your opponent, but if you don't mine from all your bases, then the economy of your opponent is going to be much better, especially if it's a Terran player that has 3 CCs for the mules. So Bomber is winning this battle no matter what. He's already in his opponent's main base, and Hurricane, he doesn't really know what to do here.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to cut off some reinforcements, but he lost all of his production here. All of his pylons are gone. And now he holds the dominant position at the top of the ramp, so there's no way to break up there.
Exactly. Bomber already doubling his opponent's supply. A desperate attempt to go for a bit of counter-aggression. Hurricane is moving in, but the next production cycle should be able to deal with this.
Yeah, a few more medevacs coming down and more Mirage. And again, he just does not have the ratio, so Bomber just kites him here.
There won't be any reinforcements for Hurricane. He's not mining anymore. He has a few probes over at the third base, but it's already being attacked by the main bulk of Bomber's army. He's going in once again, takes out the Nexus, and this has to be game.
Yeah, targets down that Archon. The probes are not going to beat this army. He's dancing the units. This is the Bomber that we know.
Bomber is dancing Marines and Marauders, and Hurricane, he taps out. First game goes to StarTale.
That was a shaky game for Bomber. You know, there were points in that game where it looked like, you know, is he going to be able to recover? Should he take a third base or should he go for an all-in? He took the third, and just that one hit, that one snipe on that third base, hitting that Nexus.
Wow, this is awesome. Bomber is really in good mood today. Walks over to the FXOpen bench and is like, okay, Lino, come on, come on.
He's basically, I mean, for those of you guys who don't know FXOpen that well, he's basically asking the best player, the ace of the team, to come out. He's basically saying, I'm so confident I can beat even your best player right now.
Yeah, he's just walking over. He's like, okay, guys, come on. Let's don't prolong this any further. Linog, I want to play you, and I want to play you now.
StarTale coach is like, please calm down.
He's throwing down the gauntlet here.
Yeah. I loved the dance at the end. You know, that's what Bomber is known for, dropping the mules, dancing the Marines, doing celebrations, and, you know, he got a win well-deserved.
You know, at the beginning, he really got the worst end of the situation as the openings just in general and the good defense of Hurricane gave him a slight lead, but then Bomber's position was just so much better. When he was able to move in because he identified that there was too much defense in the main base, there was another set of units down at the natural, but the third was exposed, he was able to sneak past those observers. For once, Hurricane did not have an observer in the path of Bomber's army. Bomber darts in, stims, takes down the expansion, backs off immediately, and he knows, okay, I'm on 3 bases, you're on 2, you have to do something.
Yeah.
And the counter-aggression didn't work for Hurricane, and from that point on, Bomber have given a huge lead in the game.
When you have that Marauder force that's, you know, heavily Marauders, a few Marines there attacking you, and you're just trying to defend with warp-ins, you know, you have to warp in right in front, otherwise you're just going to kill your Nexus. But if you warp in front, then your Zealots die as they warp in, and you never get to build that ratio. As a Pro player against that Bioforce, you need to have charged Zealots to tank while the Stalkers are damaged from behind. If you have only Stalkers, then Marauders just crush that because they do bonus damage, but if you have only Zealots, then Bomber just kites you. So he has to try to build this ratio while he's trying to defend his Nexus, he's trying to warp in Zealots to block. If he warps in Stalkers, they die too fast, and it's just the momentum there just carries through.
That's one of those stats that we have seen in Wings of Liberty, especially on maps like Cloud Kingdom, where every single time at the third base of a Protoss player, the Terran had so many options of just moving in, hitting a quick stim, and if the Protoss doesn't have the perfect defense, doesn't have units in position, the third is down, and suddenly you find yourself mining from 2 bases where your opponent has 3, has the additional mules. And then you are looking at the game, you're like, okay, I have to move out, I have to do damage. I cannot possibly just get my Nexus right now and try to catch up unless I'm really, really far ahead in the game.
Yeah.
And Hurricane had a slight lead, but not a massive one.
Exactly.
And Bomber with his macro was already negating this.
Yeah, Bomber, you know, he made a choice. He was like, all right, I'm going to take my third. I noticed that you keep half of your entire army in your main base to defend my drops, because my drops are really intense. But for that reason, you're not going to have enough to defend your third. He stims his entire army and even unloaded the Hellbats out of his medevacs. Stims and kills Nexus, and that was a risk, but it paid off.
And then we saw the next thing, taking down just 1 or 2 of those Colossi, and Bomber realizes, well, you don't have a lot of area of effect damage. If I move out and pull my SCVs now, what are you going to do about this? I have my Vikings, I can't deal with your Colossi no matter what. You can't have possibly Storm already with your High Templars. So he moves in, he takes down those Colossi, and from that point on, it was just a downhill battle for Hurricane, especially since he then lost also his natural.
Yeah, did not have the momentum. Bomber even very few medevacs. We saw his units getting so low on the hit points. That's where his micro came into play. He really kited against those Zealots perfectly, and
he lost a fair amount of SCVs with the attack, but he had all those mules that he couldn't fall back onto, and the better worker supply for Hurricane didn't do anything because he couldn't use it.
Right.
His third was always attacked, he couldn't mine from the mineral line, the natural was already gone. It's a very dire situation for Hurricane, and in the end he loses the game.
I'm curious to see who comes out now.
Oh,
beats the challenge.
Like a boss. That is awesome. Picks off the gauntlet, walks to the booth. This is going to be good. This is like
great. That's like Leenox saying, this is war.
Did you see that face on him?
Yeah.
Did he just realize who came out to play next?
I saw that.
He just realized and was like, oh wow, it's really him? He was like, that's cool.
This is nuts. Leenock, Kodas player, a Zerg player. Bomber struggling in Kodas against Zergs.
I didn't really expect Leenock to really take up the challenge. I love this. This is cool. This is a great story already. Great match today, Wolf.
Yeah, definitely, man. This could be what you'd expect to see at the end of the match, not at the beginning.
Guys, we're jumping into a 5-minute break. As soon as we are back, we will go into the next series here, so stay tuned. And as soon as we are back with the GSTL, we will have Bomber up against Leenock.